an out-of-town special. It's me, Captain Logan, and joining me tonight is my son, Jason.
Jason.
He's going to be modding the comments tonight in place of DJ. DJ, apologies for not inviting you to this one, but I didn't bring a laptop, and the only way I can broadcast is on a phone or a tablet. This take two, by the way, we tried that, and it was really grainy, and people couldn't hear us. So hopefully the audio is better now. Let us know. But yeah, I would have invited DJ, but we didn't have a way to bring in a remote person. So Jason and I are going to do it ourselves. We said we would try to stream sometime on this trip, and now is that time. I have been on hiatus the last couple of weeks because of this trip, and then the week before because of some movie shooting stuff and other things going on in my life. So we wanted to, I've done a couple of fun random streams last week. Jason and I actually did a live rehearsal for our They Might Be Giants cover band the other day, and that was fun, and more people took a look at that actually than I expected. So thanks for watching that if you happen to do that. Tonight we're going to do kind of a regular Captain Logan show, except it's going to be real streamlined, without any bells and whistles. We didn't come in with the intro tonight, so you'll just have to imagine Marvel vs. Capcom music. And if we take a break at any point, you'll just be looking at a boring hotel room wall. I was trying to come up with a cooler place to record this, and there just wasn't really a lot in the way of options.
There wasn't a White Castle nearby.
Yeah, good call. So we're just doing it here. So we don't really have very many people watching right now. Hopefully some more folks pop in as we go. We kind of did this last minute. I announced it like an hour and a half ago, but we didn't know until just a little while ago that we were going to have enough of the evening free to go ahead and do this tonight. But anyway, we are in Branson, Missouri right now. We do this trip every year for a dance competition that Jason has, and we've been here since Monday, so we've been here all week, and we've been doing lots of fun stuff. We played some mini golf, and we've been playing lots of pinball, going to an arcade here that we like. We got kind of some regular haunts now. We do this all the time, so we go to the Branson Board Game Cafe, which we love, and we played some Power Rangers there. I set up our Power Rangers game really weird. we play Heroes of the Grid all the time, and I'm sure you guys heard me talk about this ad nauseum, but I'm all in on that game. So it's been going 6 years. There's a million things. I think
6 years.
Yeah, five.
The heck?
I think the game's been going for 6 years. We've had it for about 4.5, and it was originally announced, I think, in 18. Isn't that crazy?
That's insane.
So last year was the 5th anniversary, and we're coming into year 6 now, yeah. But anyway, I think we're up to like, what, 90 or 95 playable Rangers now?
Yeah.
It's just absolutely preposterous. But anyway, I accidentally brought the wrong decks to go with some of the figures and Ranger cards that I brought, so we had to kind of mix and match some things and make it work, but we did, and it was fun. And anyway, I don't know, a million things are coming to me that I could mention right now. But we want to do a lead-in topic tonight, and then we'll do some regular Q&A at the end. If anybody has questions you want to ask us, we can talk about anything that you want to, Power Rangers or otherwise. We are going to do not a full-on Power Rangers theme show tonight, although if it turns into that, Jason and I, of course, are always game for that. I'm not just making this a Jason wants to talk about Power Rangers, but I figured it would be a good lead-in topic for Captain Logan's show because we've got some kind of unfortunate news this week, depending on how you look at it. Maybe unfortunate, maybe not. We'll talk about that, but we just got an announcement. This comes from Screen Rant. We just got an announcement a couple of days ago that Netflix's Power Rangers series has been canceled. It's been in development for a couple of years, and they finally pulled the plug on it, and so Hasbro is now looking for a new partner, and we're going to speculate about who we think they're likely to end up going with, who we'd like to see them go with, if anybody. Again, whether this is good news or bad news, and what Jason and I each would really like to see from a prospective reboot. And I have speculated about this before. I did a speculation cast maybe a year and a half ago when we had what we thought was concrete news about the reboot, or as concrete as we've had. It's always been a little bit loose. We knew that Jenny Klein and Jonathan Entwistle, those are the people that were supposed to be involved with this. One of them, I think Entwistle is doing the new Karate Kid movie.
Okay.
They were supposed to be rebooting this, but I thought that it was supposed to be a big multimedia thing where it was going to be this big relaunch of lots of different projects, all for different audiences. So it's supposed to be sort of like Star Trek in what New Trek has been in aiming it at a bunch of different perspective audiences, except not necessarily starting with just one series and then branching out from that. It looked like initially they were going to launch like 3 or 4 or 5 things at once. There was supposed to be a big budget movie. There was supposed to be a live action Netflix show. There was supposed to be animation, stuff aimed at little kids and adults and everything in between. And this article is making it sound like all that was ever really on the table was a Netflix show. So I don't know how much of that was rumor territory. I always said grain of salt with that because it was always hard to tell what you could really take for sure with it. So I don't know. It's nice to know that now we at least know what's happening.
Yeah.
Nothing. And anyway, so I did a speculation cast then about what I wanted to see from different possible projects. Now I have to revisit that and talk about, like, if we were given the keys to the kingdom and we were full on rebooting Power Rangers, what's the strategy? Yeah. Like, what do we want personally? Like, what do we want as fans? What do we think the majority of the fan base wants?
Yeah.
And then what do we think is smart business-wise, for Hasbro?
Yeah.
A lot of people have felt like when Hasbro got the license, it was maybe going to be the best thing that ever happened to Power Rangers. Other people were kind of leery of it. And now it's looking like it's maybe not the best thing that's happened to the franchise. We'll also talk about how we feel about, not adapting Sentai anymore and the fact that we're now moving, completely away from that as a tradition.
Yeah.
Might that come back? Do we want to see that come back?
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll try to hit all of those points. Welcome everybody. I've just been kind of stalling, waiting for folks to get a chance to get in here. Thanks a lot for popping in tonight and tuning in. And again, we can do some regular Q&A later on. If there's any questions, Jason's going to be modding, so if there's any questions that you want to ask us about anything under the sun, Power Rangers or otherwise, keep it geeky if you can. We will do, some regular discussion Q&A later on. We also have lots of cool stuff that we bought on this trip that we might show off later and talk about just things that we've done on this trip. It's a little bit warm in here, but if I turn the air on, it'll be really loud. It'll be like that, yeah. We just got a regular boring hotel room this time. Sometimes we stay in Airbnbs. But the nice thing about a hotel room like this is it's a little bit easier to be sure that you can stream.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry as much about noise. So anyway, well, you want to go ahead and get into the lead-in topic, Jason?
Sure.
Why don't we go ahead and start with... I'll just ask you a couple of kind of obvious questions. First of all, do you think... and of course, not that you're keeping up real hard with current TV, I'm really not either, but just with your limited knowledge of what's been going on lately, is Netflix not making this good news or bad news?
Depends on who they give it to. Depends on who takes it.
And I don't know much about those guys' track record, like the people that were supposed to make it. Also, that article says that it's not clear if they would still be attached to the project.
Okay.
If it was shopped around somewhere else. So it is possible that it will be more or less the same project we would have had at Netflix, except whoever your bigwigs are still affects the creative decisions and stuff, of course, because they could micromanage it, or they could just leave you completely alone.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say.
Yeah, was Netflix... Well, honestly, like, what Netflix was doing was pretty good so far, the Cosmic Fury was really good, and that was a Netflix original, and the special was really good, was pretty good.
Yeah.
And
I liked both of those things, actually.
The problem with not having it with Netflix anymore is we probably won't get another special.
Yeah,
which
that was
makes me sad.
That was the first thing I thought. It is possible that they're still, talking behind the scenes about some kind of follow up to that, and that this would be a totally separate thing. But I imagine Hasbro might want to just completely cut ties with Netflix if they're no longer making this thing, because I would think that past Cosmic Fury, where you're no longer using Sentai footage, and you're not in the original continuity, because of course the special didn't use Sentai footage either, but it was in that continuity. I would think that they probably are going to want some kind of corporate synergy, and they're thinking we better go someplace else to have a home for Power Rangers at large. Now, it's not like Netflix owns the material. No, like they might currently have the only rights to stream that, but it wouldn't mean that they can't make it. I wouldn't think it wouldn't mean that they can't make a sequel to it if they still wanted to someplace else.
Yeah.
So when you say Netflix has had a good track record lately, just keep in mind that they're essentially a distributor before they're anything.
They've had a good track record
as far
as Netflix.
Yeah, as far as that goes. It's not like Netflix made them.
Well, but then how much of a big deal is it that we're done with Netflix?
Yeah.
Like if it's just a distributor thing, right? And like will
Well,
another
what I mean
big
is,
company take over?
so
too
I don't
much or
think
something?
let's be clear. I don't think Netflix would have just been a distributor for what Hasbro made moving forward. I think they would have been full partners with it.
Okay.
But before, they were just posting what was already a pre-existing production that was stuff that was mostly actually going to broadcast until you got to Cosmic Fury and the special. You see what I'm saying? So like, but it was still New Zealand, it was still the same crews, it was still the same producers that were making Dino Fury. Like, it was that production. So how much say did Netflix have in anything? How much did Netflix care? I mean, I get the sense that Netflix doesn't really understand or care that much about this property.
Yeah.
And they seemed blown away by the numbers with the special, which would make you think. And also, they've had, as far as I understand it, a decent track record in the past. Hi, MC Comics. Good to see you, man. Makira, good to see you there. David, hi, guys. They've had a good track record in the past, I think, numbers-wise, just with the property in general. And they used to have all of the shows. And they've continued even after they lost everything. For a while there, you couldn't stream Power Rangers anywhere. And now most of it is on Power Rangers' official YouTube channel. And that's where we typically watch it now.
Yeah.
It's nice that all that stuff is available. They do some cool stuff there. They do like regular live streams and like 24/7 live streams for different shows if you want to just pop in and catch an episode. And that's neat. They're also starting to put some of their Transformer stuff on that channel. I don't really understand why they're doing that. So like the trailer for the really crappy looking new animated movie with Chris Hemsworth was on there. And I was like, oh, why'd they put that there? And I just got to be reminded that that's happening every time I go to that channel. It's irritating.
That's hilarious.
But I digress. I would have thought Netflix would have had more interest in hanging on to that, in doing something moving forward with that property.
Yeah.
With I mean, this is a big question mark, and that's why we made the thumbnail what it is. But the potential for success with it moving forward. So it really makes you wonder what happened. Like 2 years of development, it fell apart. And the Screen Rant article says that they've not revealed at all why it's not happening. Like why? I'm going to assume that at some point somebody will come in and say creative differences, because that's what always happens. But I wonder like who finally pulled the plug. I wonder if they walked away. I wonder if Netflix just shut it down and said, okay, this isn't working out. I wonder how much money they threw at it before they shut the whole thing down.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say. I mean, that's interesting stuff to speculate about as well. But of course, what I'm more interested in is what's going to happen with it moving forward. So where do you think they're most likely to go? Because I can't get necessarily excited about anywhere it might go.
I think probably... I want to say probably Nickelodeon and Paramount. Like, I don't want that.
I'm scared that's where it'll go.
But that's probably the most likely thing that'll happen.
Yeah, because keep in mind, I'm afraid that's what'll happen.
Yeah.
Because Paramount is where Transformers is, and that's also Hasbro. And I'm pretty sure that's who's making the new animated movie that's coming out. Although I don't know that for sure. I've not looked deep into that. So somebody tell me if I'm wrong about that. But they've also been pushing real hard on crossover stuff. They want to do the shared universe thing. There was recently a Transformers G.I. Joe movie announced. I think that's supposed to be live action, and Chris Hemsworth, Hemsworth is also in that.
Okay.
Because of course he is, because we just got to put all our eggs in that basket for some reason.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it'll be hilarious.
Yeah.
I can't get excited about that. I also can't get excited about the possibility of Power Rangers coming back as a reboot, and then immediately it starts crossing over with other Hasbro stuff.
Yeah, that doesn't. Yeah.
I think you're right. I think the most likely thing that will happen is it will become another Paramount Kids property.
Yeah.
If they decide to try to go more adult with it, and again, we don't have a lot to work with in speculating about this, because we don't know what that project was. We don't know if it was geared more toward the adult fans, like the Boom comics. We don't know if we don't know if the strategy was what Paramount has been doing lately with Ninja Turtles, which is try to bring a new generation into it, as opposed to catering at all really to or very much anyway, to the base that you have before. That's what Mutant Mayhem was. In my humble opinion, I don't think that was as much for the fans as it was for like younger newcomers, or at least it didn't feel that way. You know, they were certainly adapting lots of characters and things that fans would be familiar with.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of old school diehards, it's not necessarily what we were after. People liked that movie. I did not care for it personally.
Yeah.
People liked that. But you see what I'm saying?
But like the jokes and stuff weren't really for, older audiences.
Yeah, I mean, more so than the most recent animated series, I guess, which was very much aimed at that like little kid Nickelodeon cartoon audience.
Yeah.
So there is the question of who was this even supposed to be for in the first place, and if Hasbro, sorry, I got like 15 different names of companies in my head now. If not Nickelodeon, not Paramount, if Hasbro is now shopping the property around, the question is, are they shopping Power Rangers, or are they shopping the thing they were trying to make at Netflix? And the sense I get from that article is it's okay, negotiations broke down with Netflix, now we have to take it, meaning the project we were working on, someplace else. If it was more adult oriented, or at least and I would argue that Mutant Mayhem did this to a degree, maybe, but if it's like for fans that are there already, but also trying to cater a little bit to a younger audience to try to make everybody happy, that kind of thing, make it accessible, the place that it's more likely to go is Amazon.
Yeah, which might be nice.
It might.
I think that could be the best thing. Honestly, I think the worst thing is it goes to Paramount.
Or you know the joke I'm gonna make, right? Or it initially goes to Max and then it gets Zaslaved.
Yeah.
I think the most likely thing is Paramount. I think the thing we could, I don't know. I think that might be best for it is Amazon. I hesitate with that just for personal preference, in that Amazon's had a lot of success lately with really adult animation.
Yeah.
If they wanted to if they wanted to more or less straight up adapt Boom, and you would want to reimagine that to some degree, because Boom starts in this really weird, like pseudo canonical place with the TV shows, and then eventually it finally runs off with itself and it becomes something that can't possibly fit in canon, which is where it should have started in the first place.
Yeah, no, you make you start with Shattered Grid or something
You start with Shattered Grid. That's exactly right. If you wanted to do that and make it kind of like PG-13 Power Rangers, so you don't want it to be cynical, but it can get dark. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you don't want it to be like violent for the sake of violence. Violent. You don't really want Power Rangers running around saying the F word and stuff. But like you could make it 1990 Ninja Turtles, right? Like be as adult as the darkest Ninja Turtles ever has been. Well, with the exception of Image Ninja Turtles, because that's hilariously, intentionally very, very dark. But what I mean is like PG-13 Ninja Turtles. Like you have an occasional damn.
Yeah.
You know, they say stuff like that.
Like this show.
They can say I'll kick your ass. They could. You have it not go any farther than X-Men '97.
Yeah.
Like that show, I'm perfectly happy to show my kids, but it does get a little dark, a little violent. There's a little bit of blood in it here and there.
Then that leads to my next question: what if Disney gets it again?
Wouldn't it be hilarious if Disney swung back around and got Power Rangers again? And of course, they wouldn't be buying the property outright like they did last time. They would just have a partnership with Hasbro.
Now, would you rather have a Disney Plus thing, or would you rather have a Hulu thing?
Well, I think it would. I'm not sure at this point there's much of a difference. It really just depends on who in their animation house gets their hands on it. If it's some of the same animators or with some of the same sensibilities as X-Men '97, I say go for it.
Yeah.
Power Rangers in a similar style as X-Men '97. I wasn't even thinking about that coming into this, but yes, that would be fine.
I think the best thing.
If you gave it to the guys that are making What If? Hell no.
Yeah, and honestly, you know what they would do? They would just adapt Beyond the Grid, and it would be like the most boring thing ever.
There's a blend, or not a blend. There's kind of a scale right now of quality with animation going on at Disney at large, just in general. And so I would be more leery of Power Rangers over there. But yeah, I think the best thing that could happen is Amazon. Earlier when I said I was hesitating, it's because I also don't want Power Rangers to stop being for children.
Yeah, which is why I think the best thing that could happen is they just do an animated show.
Yeah,
and like it's.
I think you can split the middle pretty well with an animated show. Yeah. With live action, I kind of feel like it's going to go one way or the other. And if Amazon were to get that show, I almost guarantee you that is not for children.
No.
You know what I mean? But what do you think of the original strategy that maybe they'll still go with, or at least what I thought a year and a half ago? Again, I don't know if we were ever right about this, but if the original strategy was big multimedia, bunch of things that aren't necessarily even talking to each other, there's a part of me like I was worried about oversaturation, obviously, like what's happened with Star Trek, like what's happened with Marvel. The difference is Star Trek started really crappy, and Marvel was a great shared universe in the first place that kind of lost its way somewhere. But so I have mixed feelings about this. There's a part of me that's appealing to, because you can have your cake and eat it too. You can make a show that is more like the original stuff that 5 and 7-year-olds will really eat up. That's kind of more for them. And then you can make something a little bit more sophisticated, that's more about something and that has characters that have more dimension to them, like with the Boom comics. And maybe even go a little bit farther than the Boom comics have.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that? Like, would you rather just see one thing, or is splintering it to different groups the smarter strategy? And I guess we're having two conversations because I'm talking about strategy, but I'm also talking about what I want. And those don't always go together.
Yeah, because you don't come up with good strategies. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, thank you. No, actually, I think I know exactly what you do with this for the fan base. I don't know what you do with it to make it more accessible to general audiences.
To make them even money at all, you know?
Yeah, and I don't think, I don't know if a series is necessarily going to be, ever accessible to a general audience. Yeah. I think it's kind of like Star Trek, where you have that big built-in fan base that by themselves are not going to make you the money that you'd like, like MCU 5 years ago, which is what the 2017 Power Rangers movie was hoping to do. It's hard to say if that was ever possible on the big screen when more people were going to movies and when the blockbuster was a bigger deal, when superheroes were everything. I think the ship has sailed with that. But in 17, if they had put out something that looked more like Power Rangers, did it have the potential to do what 09 Star Trek did? That's always been a big question.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, what do you think the battle strategy should be? Multiple series, a single series?
I think the best way to go Well, I don't know. I don't know even what they would do with a live action series now. You know? Like I don't even know what they would get from that. And like what how would they even do that? You know? I think and like do you do another kid show or do you make it adult again?
That's what I'm saying. Okay, but what would you want them to
I
do?
want
I mean,
them
like, do you
to
want it to
just
stay
do
for
an
kids?
animation
Okay.
like PG-13 type thing. And it's just like one series. And
then the question is, as you're rebooting, do you make a brand new ground up thing with a totally different theme, or it's dinosaurs again but it's new characters, or do you reinvent Mighty Morphin again? Because I think the only way you can guarantee numbers in the first place is Mighty Morphin. Like I think you have to.
yeah.
And I know there's fans that hate that, and that's not necessarily what they'll want. But I think you do what the Boom Comics do, where you start with Mighty Morphin, and then you just start branching out the mythology.
That could be cool. Do you think at all that that's what maybe like if they kept going with the 2017 universe that would have happened?
It's hard to say.
Like,
I don't
do you
think.
just-
Well, it depends on if the same people making that movie were making the sequels, because they clearly didn't know very much about Power Rangers, and that writer and director were kind of hired hands that had seen it when they were a kid, and they weren't really into the mythology. So like at one point in the commentary with that, well, I can't remember if it was the writer or the director, but one of those guys brings up, or maybe one of them was a little bit more of a fan. I can't remember, but one of them brings up an Easter egg, like one of the few other series Easter eggs, like the name of a town or something, and got the series wrong. Is like, oh, isn't it great we put this in? This is from this, and I'm like, no, it's not. And so like they didn't know their stuff.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be prudish about it. You could go back and just do Mighty Morphin. It was okay if those guys weren't huge fans of the rest of it, but at least do your homework with what you're making.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
No, it's quite a code to crack. But I think, and I don't mean to repeat myself, but I think really the only thing you can do is make something for the fan base you already have, and hope that it's great and that it will make other people notice it. I want to think that some of the Boom comics have been good enough to get at least a few non-Power Ranger fans to read it, because something was in the air when Shattered Grid came out, where like it was really popular and people kept talking about it, and Ryan Perot's Go-Go Power Rangers people really liked, and I kept telling people, especially if you like things like Buffy, because it was really good, like teen drama,
Yeah.
like the teen the angsty teen high school stuff was really well handled in that, and all the characters were really likable and relatable, and you understood their motivations, and they felt like real people, and they all had really cool interests that didn't feel like they came from a D20 role like the 2017 movie. And even if you didn't know the show and you didn't get all the fun references with that stuff, like Billy is afraid of fish, and all of that stuff, it felt like just a cool comic book.
Yeah.
That wasn't for 5-year-olds. And I think they could maybe make that, like, if the animation looks great, you got kind of the social nostalgia. I'm gonna coin a phrase now. The like cultural zeitgeist social nostalgia with Power Rangers, where those of us that were there are starting to get older. We're all middle aged now. Yeah. So you're looking at late 30s, early 40s. Like the ship has more or less sailed, I think, for the big, massive revival based solely on nostalgia. I think it's got to be pretty good past that, but I think there is this kind of social nostalgia where Power Rangers is still just a thing that's like in there that people like Star Trek, right?
Yeah.
We're getting like it's been 30 years, so we're getting in that same place.
But the thing is
that we were with Star Trek when '09 came out.
You don't want a Power Rangers Lower Decks show.
No, no, you don't.
So
you don't want it to just be self-parody. And the thing is, Power Rangers is already a comedy.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be comedic, or it doesn't have to be completely driven by comedy. I should say that. I mean, it's got to have some levity, but it doesn't need to be campy. It doesn't have to be cheesy.
Yeah.
It also can be that in the look and some of the like silly monsters and stuff like that. It could be tongue-in-cheek, but you can have none of the characters inside of it really calling much attention to that.
Mm-hmm.
So it can just be, I guess I should say absurd before cheesy, right?
Yeah.
Like by its nature, it's kind of an absurd thing. But I also see it like Space Ghost, where you could do it really serious.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where I was going with all that, but
yeah.
But I guess what I mean is just make it for the people that are already there and care, like the Boom Comics have, because those are the people that you can sell merchandise to. You make it a great toy commercial. You keep us coming with good stories, and you make us immersed in the lore, and then we'll buy all the crap that you make for it.
Yeah.
You make it look like Power Rangers.
You make it.
You can't reinvent the iconography of it too much.
And the best thing that they can do is do what they did with X-Men '97 and still make it toyetic.
Yeah.
Right. Still make it so that people actually want to buy your products, right?
I think unlike X-Men '97, you don't want to, and unlike the Boom Comics, I sort of said this earlier, but I don't think you want to start from a place and keep moving forward. I do think you have to start over. But I think you might be able to play with more of the toys in the box. So you start with Mighty Morphin, but then, kind of like the Boom Comics did, pretty quickly you start showing us some of the space mythology. Do something with Psycho Rangers, or do something with Master Vile, or like start getting into that later stuff earlier.
Yeah.
And then the question is, could you basically just do the Boom Comics, but you're not pretending like everybody knows everything already, like that you haven't. So what I mean is, start basically with Go-Go, like adapt Go-Go and move forward, and then don't make it between the raindrops. So actually do your version of Green with Evil. Show us that. Don't have that in the background like the Boom Comics did. Do all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry, before you get to that, the other, because I had like a 2-point idea, a 2-point point. So I was talking about why it's harder to go, like straight up nostalgia driven. The other big reason that it's harder. So I was talking about how, like, those of us that were there have all really grown up, and so some of us you're just not gonna get anymore. They've already kind of moved on. They're not looking at that stuff. If it was a movie, they might go look at it. They might check out a pilot, maybe. And so you have to just kind of think about what's in the cultural zeitgeist that everybody knows. But those of us that you could get back just because we were there and it really matters to us is harder when you don't have Jason David Frank anymore. So when you're casting that series, this might be a hot take to people. I don't know how you'll feel about this. I think you have to stay away from the original actors. And you have to completely recast it. And you basically have to do it like, if it's animated, and you have to do it like the Boom Comics.
Yeah.
And because they don't really use the likenesses.
No.
From the shows.
No.
And because it gets too awkward to bring some of them back, but to not be able to have others. And maybe I'm going to sound like a hypocrite when I say that, because I think you should be able to recast when you lose people, but this is a different case because you're starting a thing from scratch in the first place. So, like, I think it's kind of time to move on. I don't think we need a, like, 45, 50-year-old David Yost coming back trying to voice a 16-year-old Billy.
I mean, it kind of worked with X-Men 97, but like...
Yeah, but they also picked and chose with that. They didn't use everybody, because not everybody sounded right, and their Wolverine still doesn't sound right. They shouldn't have done that. But...
yeah.
But they also, they're trying to get sound-alikes and stuff. I think it would be better if they didn't even try to make Tommy sound just like Tommy. Give us new versions of all of it. If you're really going to reinvent it.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel a little bit blasphemous saying that.
Yeah.
But I think that's probably the smarter way to go. Again, because you're not going, this is just a nostalgia trip. You're going, this is that property, but it's updated, it's new. And then I think you don't have to keep it 90s anymore. Because the Boom comics were really awkward in saying that everything happened, but they happened in a 25-year later context, where everybody's got cell phones and modern pop culture references and stuff. You can just start from the beginning, and it could be present day. I don't think it has to be a throwback thing.
No.
I don't know how you feel.
I think
about
they
that.
will. I think they'll make it a throwback thing, probably, but...
And then, see, I'm very conflicted, because at the same time, I might like a throwback thing personally a little better, depending on how they do it, just because I don't have to deal with, like, modern slang and meme references and, stuff that... I'm just, I'm out of touch with the youth. I'm not going to appreciate some of the lingo and stuff.
Which is what might happen,
Yeah, so that could not be great, but you get decent
which is
writers
getting
there.
which is getting more into Mutant Mayhem territory. Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's a worry too. Well, anyway, what are viewers saying about that?
We have a $2 super chat from Pros and Cons Guy.
Okay, thanks, man.
Which says, did they say if they're still using Sentai footage?
So we don't know for sure if they'll make a show that does that, because again, so I guess the short answer is no. Whatever that Netflix show was supposed to be, it was going to be completely new. But when we thought they were doing a bunch of different projects, it wasn't known for sure if one of those projects might not be more Sentai adaptation. There was a rumor that they were definitely not doing that, but nobody knew for sure. I was of the opinion that Hasbro didn't want to do that and was ready to move on completely from Sentai.
Also, I have a question.
Real quick, because this was actually a point I wanted to make earlier, and thanks to Pros and Cons Guy for bringing that up, because it completely escaped me. I would also love to see them, because I'm going to miss the tradition, and I don't mean to say that you can't change anything, but they're still making Sentai. Why not keep doing a show that adapts it? I want to go back to Disney era and even get beyond that, where you can do more like smarter, sophisticated storytelling, adapting from the Japanese footage. I would love to finally see a Sentai based show that is for the fan base that is still watching it. I mean, that's always been there. I would love that.
Yeah. My question is so I'm not really exactly sure how this works, right? If they're not doing Sentai stuff anymore, right? Do they have the rights to those like costumes and stuff still if they're not in touch with the Sentai stuff?
Well, it's just going to depend on how the contracts work and what rights they let expire. So my guess is, and I don't know this for sure, I've done no research on this, but there's never been a rights issue that I'm aware of Sentai footage, Sentai stuff in general. I think if they wanted to make... Yeah, I actually don't know if I'm right, but I was going to say, I bet if in the Bandai days they wanted to make toys of Sentais that they hadn't turned into Power Ranger shows here, they might have been allowed to do that. I actually don't know if they could have done that or not. But anyway, I don't think there's ever been a rights issue. I have no idea what that. I don't know if there's ever been a rights issue with stuff they've adapted before that they're not allowed to come back and do Sentai-wise. There are rights issues with some of the movies we've made, where like Hasbro can't do stuff with the Mighty Morphin movie, as far as I know. where like
Can they do
Renegade's not
stuff?
allowed to use Ivanhoos and stuff
Or
like that,
Dulcia.
or anything from the 2017 movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
Dulcia,
Can they do anything? Well,
which would be a really great action figure. Okay, like can we please get that for Lightning Collection? That'd be really killer.
Is there anything new from the Turbo movie? Because I just haven't even seen that in a while.
Calling the big lava monster Malagor.
Okay.
But then that's also like basically the pilot for Turbo.
Yeah.
And most of the stuff that's in that movie, actually, I think all of it shows up in the show, at least in flashbacks. So like I think they could use it. But I guess sorry, I'm getting in the weeds with this. I guess the reason I brought this up is just to say I'm pretty sure that they will be able to retain the rights to everything that's been adapted before. The question is, could they do anything with anything moving forward if they don't keep making Sentai stuff? Like I don't know how the rights work with that. So I don't know if it's sort of like paying for like the license to use a property, but every few years you have to make something or you lose it, like we used to have with the Fantastic Four at Fox. I don't know if they have that with Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to say. That's a great question. I can't answer that.
Okay. Well, do we have anything more to say about Power Rangers?
I mean, I could go on about this for all day. I guess another big question I would ask you is well, because I kind of started this with, do you want them to start over with Mighty Morphin or go someplace else? Like, what do you think are the big shows that if we completely rebooted, they need to look most at and try to start adapting quickly?
Okay. Well, I think if they reboot completely, I think they should just come up with new costumes, honestly, and just like do completely new characters and stuff. But like kind of like remake some of the lore and stuff, right? So still have a lot of the lore like in there, and maybe you can bring in some Rangers and stuff. But like,
so you say it all happened already? Okay, but let me ask you this: if you do that, aren't you potentially overwhelming new viewers?
No, because you bring it in.
But couldn't it be like Star Trek, where you're giving people the sense that there's all this stuff that exists already that you haven't looked at? Like, I would think they would want to start completely from scratch.
No, that's what I'm saying too.
Yeah.
I'm saying they use some lore to make new stuff in the show or whatever.
But when you say lore, do you just mean background stuff, or are there teams that have happened already? That's what I'm wondering.
I'm not sure.
And then would you really want to see them go back and redo every team eventually?
No, that's not what that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying like maybe they like do some of the like Zord background.
Yeah.
And so they still maybe they have still Morphin Masters in this universe or whatever.
Yeah, you could make all of that a lot more concrete.
Yeah. I think that would be neat if it's good.
Again, I just think it depends on who you're aiming it at. I think you could straight up adapt Shattered Grid
that would be nice.
For the base that already cares. And I think you are risking newcomers being overwhelmed maybe, but if you start with the Mighty Morphin Rangers and then you just have a bunch of other Rangers that pop in and out in that arc, so you have a sense of a grander universe, but you're focused on these characters, there's fewer new people you'll be able to bring in right away, certainly, but I just think that would probably be smarter for the base that you have already.
Yeah. Well, and then I think you could even adapt more. I think what they should do is they should just do an animated show that is set in the not set in the universe, but the Boom universe, and uh, an arc
Yeah.
just from the Boom comics. So like you start with Shattered Grid, and then you can have a season that's the Zordon arc, and the stuff with Zed Ranger and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you could even go back and maybe you could do like an anthology thing, and you could take some of the Power Rangers universe stuff and make that a blueprint for like lore that you sprinkle over a whole season.
Yeah, I also think a whole Power Rangers universe show would be awesome.
Or even just make it like movies.
Where it's just, yeah, or just like an anthology show where every episode is from a different character standpoint. And it's like, just, this episode is about Phantom Ranger.
You can do it in seasons. That's what I wanted from Star Trek Discovery in the first place.
Yeah.
That's what we thought they were going to make, was every season goes to a different era. And you could do that like they've been doing with the Boom comics, where you go, well, here's a season or a movie that covers like some major background for Time Force.
Yeah. This is a space season, and this one is SPD,
And so it's reboot in the sense that you are starting over, but you're using the major character traits and backstories and stuff for all those characters. So you don't change it up too much. You just make it smarter.
Mm-hmm.
I would think, and less convoluted.
Yeah.
And you make the rules clearer, and we figure out what the actual morphing grid is, and we figure out like just how exactly it works, and you have a more concrete set of rules for power levels and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how much money it would make them, but I think just to keep the current base they have happy,
I think
going to Boom is the thing they should do. They also need to be careful not to make the entire thing about Draken, but you do lead with Draken, maybe.
Yeah. Although I think anything they do that's gonna get them a bunch of money would not be good. Like anything.
Yeah.
Like anything.
Yeah.
That would actually get the money would not be great. So,
I don't mean to be contradictory. I guess I said earlier that what I would more want is you start from go.
Yeah.
Basically, and you move forward.
But I think like different ideas though.
But I could also see the wisdom of opening with something like Shattered Grid.
Mm-hmm.
And then you always have the worry that, kind of like a lot of Netflix shows, that first season does gangbusters and it's really popular, and then after that, it kind of falls apart.
Yeah.
Does anybody have feelings about this in the comments there, Jason? Or are they just talking amongst themselves about other stuff?
No, I mean, people are... Sorry, I turned my phone off and now I have to...
You're supposed to be moderating the chat,
refresh
Jason.
myself. Sorry. Alex says the issue they face nowadays is that young kids don't watch TV as much, and when they do, it's all on streaming. Gone are the days of morning cartoons and morning Power Rangers.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But
that's not to say that there aren't good, like, streaming shows for kids.
Mm-hmm.
And Netflix has had some of them, like or at least things kids could watch. Like I can't say how many kids were interested in the kind of anime Transformer show they made.
Mm-hmm.
But like I liked that, okay? Like I would show that to my kids.
Yeah.
Again, a little smarter than Gen 1. And stuff like that. Maybe on par with Prime. And then they had, why can't I think of the name of it? Voltron.
Mm. Yeah.
At one time, I would have said Netflix would be the place to put this.
Yeah. When.
But I'm more leery of them these days.
Yeah, and they've got pretty good anime too. Which would be cool.
Although if they had announced this as an animated show on Netflix initially, I would have been more excited about it.
Yeah.
But it was supposed to be live action. So I don't think, like, we keep talking about animation. I don't think we're gonna get our wish on that.
No.
I think they will come back with live action, and it won't be Sentai.
But I don't have any ideas for what they could do with live action. So
I'm just
because my head's in Boom comics, so like
I'm also having a hard time getting excited about speculating with that because I feel like I don't mean to be cynical. Whatever they make will not be what I want.
No.
Like you said earlier. There was also, and it's weird that article doesn't bring this up either. There was also supposed to be a big screen new movie that was supposed to be present day teenagers that get sent back to the 90s and become Power Rangers. And if that's not happening anymore, I'm glad because that sounded terrible. But that was supposed to
that's
be
like the best thing they could do for live action.
You think? I thought that was a horrible idea. Because I just thought it would be well. You know what my worry was, and I hesitate to bring this up because I know there's people that like this movie, but my worry would be Bumblebee, where it'd be like, look, everybody, it's the '90s. Whoa!
Oh, is that actual Bumblebee did?
Yeah, that's what that was like.
Oh man, I gotta finally watch.
They keep just throwing in your face so hard the era you're in. It's like here's an '80s thing, here's another '80s thing. You're like, yeah, we get it. It's the '80s. Like, calm down, you know. And that's
look at this year that we're in.
My worry is they'd be too self-aware about it, and that it would be the kids from now walking around going, "How do you live without TikTok?" And
yeah,
that doesn't sound fun.
No, it doesn't. Just stick to the.
It'd be better to just make it a period piece.
Yeah.
If you're gonna go back to the 90s.
Braden says all the Rangers should be new characters at the start, and you could bring like older voice actors back as other characters.
That'd be all right. That'd be all right, but it would not be a full-on reboot if you did it that way. Or it could be a reboot. You could do that kind of awkward thing, and Boom sort of does this, but where it's a reboot, but, well, I say Boom does this. This is how it feels now with those. It didn't at the beginning. But you basically go, it's a reboot, but more or less everything you know happened in the background.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they would have the license to change things if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Jason's going to look for more questions about this or comments, but feel free to ask about anything else you want to. Tag Jason if you would, if you want us to look at a specific question now.
Yeah, at Jason's Video Game Secrets or just at Jason.
Or you can leave a super chat, of course, and that guarantees that we'll talk about your question.
We got another $2 super chat from Pros and Cons Guy.
Thanks.
He says,
again, Pros and Cons
Guy. An animated series would save on voice acting.
Yeah.
It would cost less.
That's true, too. Do you feel like, and I don't know, this might just be a weird perception thing on my part, do you feel like interest in the property has kind of waned since Jason David Frank died? Or is it just that we had the 30th and that's come and gone and there's nothing on now? And so, like, the big fans of this have not given up on it and they're still doing their Power Ranger stuff. And, I mean, there is that beat-em-up game coming out that I'm really excited about. It looks awesome. Rita's, what is it? Flashback or something? No.
Yeah.
I forget. Anyway. It's not really important, Jason. Let's just...
Yeah. Rita's Rewind.
Rewind, that's what it's called. I don't know why I couldn't think of that.
Me
Superhero Rewind. Yeah. But anyway.
It's your word. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be that excited about anything they do. Like, I really...
But just to the thing I just asked you, like are you getting that feeling that, like, there's not like a Power Rangers high anymore? Like,
no, there was, but I think it might be gone now.
But is that just because of what's coming out or what's not coming out?
I think it's because of what's not coming out. You know?
Yeah.
Because they're just, I don't know. Like, after Cosmic Fury, they just kind of stopped doing it, and now I don't think I'm going to be that excited about anything they do. So
Yeah, I'm just curious to see what the fan base does in a
yeah,
in a world without any new Power Rangers at all. Because a lot of people weren't watching it, but there was that just kind of safe feeling of, but it's there, it's a tradition.
yeah,
It's never stopped being relevant to some degree.
yeah.
I also wonder if, for whatever reason, Haim Saban is the only person who knows how to make money with Power Rangers. It's very strange because the Disney era is great and it didn't perform real well.
Mm.
They didn't make a lot of money on those shows. And Saban buys it back and uh you get the Neo Saban era, which a lot of fans, including us, don't care for most of. But it made money again.
Mm-hmm.
Like suddenly kids seem to be watching it again. I don't understand that. Like I don't know what it is that he seems to understand about children. It came back and it felt dumber and it felt like the spark was gone.
Yeah.
But it made money again.
Yeah.
I think he's the only person who knows how to make money with that property.
We got a $5 super chat from TH1.
Thanks, Tom.
And he says, "New Rangers, but attack it from the monster's point of view."
Okay.
Like the Godzilla / Kong monster first.
No, Tom. I mean, it'd be fun for an episode.
Yeah.
But or like a season. Well, you've always gone back and forth, right? Like you've always done kind of half heroes, half villains.
Yeah. Well, because everyone's point of view.
But when he says from the monster perspective, Power Rangers isn't like Godzilla in that it's not just a big monster that wanders around. It's villains that make them.
Well, and also
they have their own perspective.
But also in Godzilla and also in the MonsterVerse,
it's not from their perspective anyway.
Well,
not entirely, not very often.
Like there are also humans.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's
the whole point of Godzilla is what are the humans gonna do because there's a monster attacking?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like with MonsterVerse, that last movie was the most perspective of the monsters you've ever had in those.
Yeah, I mean, you could say more like
with King Kong and his toothache.
Yeah, I mean, you could say a little more like the newer Planet of the Apes, but
yeah, that's true.
Because I mean, there are kind of.
Thanks for the $5 super chat, Tom.
There are still humans in it, but it's more from you feel more like the apes are the good guys, at least in the second, third, and fourth movies.
Let me ask you this too. We had 30 years of Power Rangers. You and I didn't like a lot of the Neo Saban era. It's not like we've watched every episode of Power Rangers. Are you going to be that sad if it just didn't come back? Like I feel the same way about Star Trek, where it's better if it doesn't come back than if it comes back bad.
Yeah.
Like the only reason I have feelings about this is because they're probably going to make more of it. I don't have to have more of it.
Yeah.
I always feel the need to throw that in there, right? Is like, I don't mean to be a raging fanboy, like chomping at the bit with it. And the reason I brought up just the climate of the fan base right now is because, and I don't mean to be stuck on this for too long, but I was just wondering if I was perceiving something that was really there that was at all because of just how depressed everyone was with the passing of Jason David Frank. Like I felt like that kind of just lowered the excitement for just Power Rangers, at least for a while.
Yeah.
And I don't mean about just new stuff and whatever. I just mean I don't know. Just the overall climate of the fandom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then some of the best stuff came out after that.
Did that sour it a little bit for people?
Yeah.
Because he was so much the face of that for people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think people really had that that feeling that like their childhood was over, or like, their childhood is over. But you know what I mean? That like a big piece of that left along with them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's probably.
And no judgment against the man. I'm not blaming Jason David Frank for ruining anyone's childhoods. I'm just saying, just trying to be objective about it as I can. That seemed to be a thing that nobody was emotionally prepared for.
Mm-hmm.
And I think whatever you do with it moving forward is going to be different than if he was still around, even if he had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Should we start asking questions?
Absolutely.
We got another $5 super chat from Tom.
What is he saying?
And he says, Jason, are you excited for Pokemon Legends ZNA? I just heard about this.
What is that?
So it's a new game that's in the Pokemon Legends series, I guess now. I didn't get Arceus. I didn't care. Not really. I'm not that excited about that. I don't really.
Are those just traditional Pokemon games, or a different kind of thing?
They're more like Power Rangers Universe, but with Pokemon.
What do you mean?
And with where it's more like lore building.
Oh, okay. So is it like flashback material, or?
I think.
Okay.
But like I said, I didn't play the first game. But I don't really care that much. And then he also says, what if there's a Pokemon Power Rangers, right? What characters are the Rangers, and what Pokemon are the Zords based on? Great show, guys.
Thanks, man. He's just on a Pokemon kick.
Yeah.
All of a sudden. Well, I think you could do a really cool Pokemon Megazord.
Yeah.
Also, I don't even know if I would want to get into. I mean, I know it was a super chat. It's hard for me to get as excited about picking Pokemon to be Rangers or Pokemon characters to be Rangers. It's kind of like the Ninja Turtles crossover, where it's like, did we have to do that? Could they have just fought something together instead of the Rangers having to?
But Pokemon Azores is
Ninja Turtles having to be Rangers. But if you had a Pokemon themed Power Rangers team, where let's say Power Rangers exist in the same world as Pokemon, and human beings, sort of like dinosaurs, or you know what I would do with it? I would have a world where Pokemon did exist, but they're extinct now, like the dinosaurs, and then you use the ancient powers of Pokemon to morph.
Oh boy. Yeah,
and then your morphers are Pokeballs.
And then
but they don't have Pokemon that come out of them anymore. They just have the energy of ancient Pokemon.
Oh man.
Right?
And then the
Pokemegazord.
The Pokezord. And then this is hilarious. And then you have the bad guys have a Zord, and it's the Ditto Zord, and it can turn into any of the other Zords.
Oh yeah, I mean we did that
the Power
in season 1.
Yeah.
Mighty Morphin, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
What would the putties be?
The putties would be, I mean, the first thing I can think of is Team Rocket, but
oh sure.
If they're Pokemon, then Squirtles.
But yeah, Pokemon themed Zords.
Pokemon
and suits. Sounds like a cool idea.
Yeah.
And you've already got your colors built in pretty easily. Like you just pick Pokemon of different.
And each color is a type too, you know? So your Red Ranger's has the power of the fire type. And
I said this to you recently because Renegade Games has the Guardian system now based on the Power Rangers game, and they've been making a G.I. Joe game based on that. That's gone for a couple of years now. It's crazy it's been that long.
It's already been a couple of years.
Oh yeah, they have several expansions already. And we've been waiting around to see if they'll announce a third one. And you and I were talking about properties that Renegade already has, and I would actually be more interested in a My Little Pony game for the Guardian system than a lot of the other things they have, solely because they have that, and they've been doing all the other games that they use a lot of the Hasbro characters with, right? So they have G.I. Joe and Power Rangers and My Little Pony. Maybe there's a fourth one. Is it just those three? They all have a deck builder and they have a role-playing game in the same system.
Mm-hmm.
The deck builders are all different systems, but the role-playing game is all the same system. And Transformers. Thank you. Those are the four. And they're doing that with all of those. People are really hoping Transformers gets in the Guardian system. And obviously that would be great, and I would like that too. But the reason that My Little Pony would interest me more than G.I. Joe has is because it's at least multicolored.
Yeah.
Right? It's at least vibrant.
Yeah, and like...
I don't know if I would actually buy that.
Yeah.
But I would be more likely to than G.I. Joe, just because G.I. Joe's not very vibrant.
Yeah, G.I. Joe is just dark green. Like,
yeah. I know people like that. I didn't grow up with that, so I don't have a dog in that. But I've never liked military stuff that much. But the thing with G.I. Joe for me is just I can't get excited about painting those minis.
Yeah, because they're all the same color.
You'd be buying a lot of green.
Yeah. We got a $2 super chat.
And you'd be painting more fatigues than just with Rito. And I did have to for our fatigues, camo. And I had to figure out how to paint camo when I did Rito, and that was cool.
Yeah.
And it worked out, but then I would have to do it for other things, I think. Not that I
we got another $2 super chat from Pros and Cons guy.
Thanks,
and
Pros
he
and
says,
Cons guy.
what if the new show is a Ranger team made
This
of...
is just a what if show now, but just about Power Rangers?
Made of monsters.
Okay.
But not evil monsters. They're just monsters.
So like a monster version.
A monster...
Well, it's just Beetleborgs now.
Ranger team. Yeah. Yeah.
Because Beetleborgs was horror themed.
Yeah.
Well, the actual Zords were, the Borgs weren't, but they lived in a house with universal monsters.
Yeah, but like the Rangers, like the main characters are monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is he asking, like, what would it look like?
What if... Yeah.
Well, you'd have, what would your five be? You'd have a Frankenstein Zord. You'd have, what's really funny is you could have an Invisible Man Zord.
I think he just meant, like, Freak of the Week or, whatever. Or not Freak of the Week, but, like, the monster. Just Power Ranger monsters.
Ranger team made of monsters, not evil monsters. Yeah. Okay. Because I was just thinking, like, what if it was a universal monster theme?
Yeah.
Because I'm actually kind of surprised if Sentai has never done that. But you could do a season where you have monsters that were created by a Zed or a Rita or a Grum or whoever, right?
Yeah.
And you have more... Because remember, Space had the token bee monster episode. Was it Grumblebee or was it something else? But you had... I can't remember if that was the name or if that was something else. It all runs together. But you had a monster that didn't want to be evil.
Yes, and there was so many of those.
But you could do a season where 5 of those get together.
Yeah.
Right? Where like they were never destroyed. They become allies for a Ranger team, and then they go to that show Zordon and they go, we want to be Rangers.
Yeah.
Or maybe you do a thing where like all the Rangers die, or they have to get sent off on a mission for a long time, and you meet new Rangers and you go to those monsters. That would be cool.
There's also one from Megaforce, if I'm not mistaken. I think there's also one from Megaforce. But those are the only 2 I can think of right now, but I'm sure there are others.
That seems like a thing you would start doing every year.
The thing that Sentai did, which was really cool, was for their like 40th, 50th anniversary, I can't remember. I think it was 40th. They did Zords as the main character.
Yeah, that looked cool.
Awesome.
That looked cool.
As like little versions of the Zords.
I still want to see that.
Yeah.
That looks fun. And I wish we'd adapted that.
Well, the problem is too many of them were Zords that we don't know.
Because they were actual Megazords from different seasons, weren't they?
Yeah. So like you had the one from Zoo Ranger, and you had the one from, I can't remember what it's called, but I think it's the Wild Force one. And then there were a couple others. I think there was like one more that might have been in Power Rangers, and then the rest of them were not.
You still have me wondering how exactly the rights work with what they can adapt with Sentai, or what they can make merchandise of, because they also had all of that stuff that was never in a Power Ranger show before that shows up in Megaforce, in Super Megaforce, in the Ultimate Battle, or whatever they call it. What was that called? The Legendary Battle?
Legendary Battle, and...
I would think anything in that you could use after that, but then they also still might be able to use anything they want. I don't know.
Well, and
as far as making toys and stuff.
Those characters, and they were from... What they did was actually pretty cool. They made them from different planets. And those are also in some of the Boom comics. So...
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So clearly they can use that stuff.
Yeah.
Right now. But you make a terrific point. If they don't keep adapting,
yeah,
how long will they have the rights, or do they have to just keep paying a bill?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. If you had monsters as rangers, would you flip it where that season you have a human villain?
And all of the, like, weekly monsters are just guys, random guys. There's, like, this episode, it's a sumo wrestler, you know?
Or what if you even flipped it further? This would be nuts. Where it's not monsters that become rangers, it's good guy monsters that use whatever technology or magic that they would have as villains. Or maybe you even have a villain there's like a villain turned good that's their Zordon, and the villains are all evil rangers. So you have like bad guys that tap into the Morphin Grid to become evil rangers, and they try to use the Morphin Grid. This stuff writes itself. They try to use the Morphin Grid to take over the world, and the monsters can't tap into the Morphin Grid. So they fight the Rangers the same way they would if they were trying to take over the world, but they're the good guys this time.
Yeah.
Come on, there's a show.
Yeah.
There's a show. I'll be here all night, folks.
All right, we have a question from AMC Comics.
AMC, what can we do for you, sir?
He says, on a similar note, I always wondered what a recast...
I don't have the gong. Boing!
This isn't a super chat.
Oh, okay.
No. On a similar note, I always wondered what a recast J.J. Abrams TNG would look like.
Yeah, me too.
What would it look like?
Well, I've always said I want McAvoy for Picard.
Yeah.
If you did that, I've always said that. As far as, and then after that, I don't know how exactly I would fan cast it, but I'm not great with fan casting, but I just, at that point, you need the completion, where you need McAvoy to come in and play everything Patrick Stewart's played. So, like, he also has to do the remake of Safe House.
Safe House, yeah.
And he has to be a bit part in the next Dune.
Yep.
And he has to make a TV movie of Moby Dick.
Yep.
And of A Christmas Carol.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, we can keep going on.
I don't remember what else.
Patrick Stewart's in lots of things.
Did,
but yeah, beyond that, like, I don't know what a future of the '09 world looks like. It's not all that interesting to me to try to figure out. Like, I don't know.
Honestly, I think...
I mean, you have to... Sorry. It is weird to imagine a TNG without Romulans, because you blew up Romulus. And TNG is about Romulans, a lot. So, like... Would you try to reinvent it by going back to the drawing board and maybe trying to do some of the stuff that TNG wanted to do early, but didn't manage, so they abandoned, and then do it more successfully? For instance, you make your main villain of your first TNG movie, because we're saying the Abrams-verse version, so it's probably not a TV show, it's probably movies, right? Okay. Would you be crazy enough to try to make your villains the Ferengi, and they're scary?
Yes.
Because first season TNG tried to create the Ferengi as a bad guy race.
Yeah, which is awesome.
And, like, as an actual nefarious, scary, menacing race.
And I love that first season episode.
Last Outpost?
I love Last Outpost. I don't care what anyone says, I love Last Outpost. I think that would be awesome.
There's a few cool things you could do in, like, I'm thinking more story stuff than how you would reinvent those characters. I would think you'd want to do what '09 did, where the characters are kind of more or less the same.
Yeah.
They're a little bit too like, sometimes caricature-y or, like, archetypal. But what you could do, and you don't want to have, like, a pointless romance with characters that never had a romance necessarily, you know what I mean? But you could have Picard and Crusher dating in the first place.
Yeah.
You could do something like that.
You could maybe focus more. I wouldn't want this, but you could focus more on the relationship between Troy and Riker if you want to, I guess.
Yeah. But I was gonna say, maybe take a first season episode and blow it up to a whole movie and make it a lot better. In
world that's run by women. No.
But I mean, like an already almost good episode or decent episode for season 1. Do Conspiracy.
Yeah.
Do Conspiracy as your TNG movie.
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't know if you want to just remake Farpoint, you know?
And just make it make sense. Because then you're making motion picture again. Because that's all Farpoint really is.
I mean, you can just do a Q movie, I guess.
Well, you can do a Q movie. That's true.
And I mean, I always wondered what an 09 Borg would look like.
Me too. That's true.
But...
Well, okay. So you do Q Who as your movie.
Yeah.
And you could even do that as the launch of your ship. Like, you basically make Farpoint without Farpoint. So it's Borg instead of Farpoint, and it's the launch of the ship, and instead of Q showing up and he, screws around with Farpoint for no reason, he shows up and he goes, before they're even allowed to really go on a mission, you're not ready to be out here. Picard's in the driver's seat for 5 minutes, and Q shows up and says, go back home. And maybe the idea is their technology has progressed to the point where the Q continuum is getting nervous, that they're not prepared for what they're about to meet, and that they're going to really mess stuff up out there. And he goes, let me prove to you how you're not ready for this, like he does in Q Who, and he sends them to the Delta Quadrant, but as their first mission.
That's a very, 09 thing. And then you make the Borg, you make them what they are later. Like, you don't, and I don't...
But maybe axe the Queen? Maybe don't do that whole thing?
Yeah, don't do that, but make them what they are in, later TNG.
I do have the fan casting for Q, though. It's David Tennant. It's David Tennant all day long. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's your Q.
Yeah. And he's hilarious, so he can do that.
Alternatively, I wouldn't be opposed to Neil Patrick Harris.
Neil Patrick Harris is Q. Yeah. Or or Nathan Fillion, but
no, I don't see that.
Yeah.
Fillion as an omnipotent imp?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can see that.
I don't immediately see it, but maybe.
I kind of see it. But I see Neil Patrick Harris and David Tennant more. No, those are both good choices.
Could you have female Q? Can you think of an actress right now that would do a good female Q? Just to shake it up. I don't know.
AMC Comics says Tom Hiddleston.
That's kind of too on the nose, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's kind of just playing the same role again.
Oh, and also AMC Comics says McAvoy says he wants to play young Picard.
Yes, do it. I mean, if it's under the regime that's there right now, it'll suck. But
yeah,
do it. I need Kurtzman to be ejected, but it'll never happen.
Ejected.
Or it'll be a while. And they've already made 6 shows, so the damage is kind of done.
Yeah. What what are they even gonna do after Discovery season 5?
Oh, they've already announced the new show they're developing.
What?
Yeah, they're doing a Starfleet Academy show set in the 32nd century. But yeah, who could possibly care? Post-Discovery. And it's supposed to be, get this, aimed more at young adult audiences. So it's YA Star Trek. They're already basically making YA Star Trek with Strange New Worlds, which again is in quality and in my understanding what the hell is happening, leagues above everything else they've made. But that second season, it's got its moments, but it's a big step down from 1, I think, and it is more and more feeling like young adult, Star Trek, and especially with the relationship stuff, it's awful with Spock. It's really bad. And I don't care what anybody says. I know people like that. Don't ask me why. I don't get it. I know people like the musical episode. That was painful.
That was painful. Well,
that was get the harpoon out of my chest.
Maybe
painful.
the problem is they haven't seen other musical episodes of TV shows, and that was the first one they saw, and they're like, "Oh, that's such a good idea."
It was CW flash rough.
That was terrible.
And they gave Spock a song about breaking up with Nurse Chapel, which, first of all, so they dated for 5 minutes and broke and had a really rough breakup before TOS, where it's like an unrequited love. Okay, they gave him a song called "I'm the X."
Yeah. Yep.
I have a hard time saying that out loud. Oh,
I completely forgot that. I don't even know how you remember what the name of that is called. Is it just embedded into your soul?
Yeah. I like that last episode with the Gorn. Okay.
Yeah.
But
I didn't watch all of it.
Spoilers real quick for that, but there's this big cliffhanger where Pike is, and I won't give away what exactly happens, but like something has just happened that really frazzles him, and I get that, but he's the captain of a starship. And he's standing on the bridge while everything is falling apart around him, and it looks like the ship is going to completely come apart. They're just getting blasted from all sides by Gorn ships. And he can't decide what to do. And like the cliffhanger, if memory serves, is just, it's like the reverse of Best of Both Worlds where Riker says fire. He just doesn't say anything. He just stands there and like he can't make up his mind. I don't like that.
Yeah.
I had a really tough time with that.
Yeah.
Like, really? He can't give an order? And it's made worse by the fact that, like, I love their Pike, and he's not given enough screen time, and he spends most of his time cooking in his quarters.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, enough about New Trek.
Okay, should we show off
I would still rather watch that all day long over Discovery or Picard, but... And people love season 3. I watched 4 episodes. I still haven't finished it. I can't do it. I hate it still.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, but that 3rd season they finally turned it around. I'm like, where? I'm 4 in. I can't stand it. Okay.
Okay. Should we start showing off stuff?
Yeah, because otherwise I'm gonna like burst the blood vessel. Should I show like good Star Trek things first?
Yes.
That I bought. Okay.
Yes.
So, real quick before we do that, let's just real quick, why don't you break down our week a little bit?
I don't know if I can remember all the stuff.
Yeah, you don't have to talk about everything, but just highlights, right? Yeah, so, again, for folks that came in late, Jason and I are in Branson, Missouri.
Ooh.
Branson is, if you've never been here, it's like Vegas without the gambling.
Yeah.
So there's like a little strip, and it's like southern, Vegas, or like Reno, but without the gambling, right?
And without the dolphin.
That's a tick episode. But it's there's a lot of like shows you can go to, and there's like dinner theater type stuff, and there's about 19 different places you can play mini golf.
Yep.
And there's a lot of arcades and stuff like that.
Stuff like that, yeah.
To go and do.
Yeah. So it's a really fun place.
Go-kart tracks everywhere.
Yeah.
Roller coasters. And
yeah.
Just standalone roller coasters. And there's a place where you can go take like helicopter tours.
Yeah.
And there's all kinds of fun things that you can do.
Yeah.
And there's Silver's Dollar City, which is a little amusement park, which I don't know if you've ever been.
I have not been.
Maybe we'll do that one of these trips.
Yeah, I don't.
The one time I went when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, we came here for a church trip, which by the way was miserable. Like I just didn't like the people I was with, and so we came on this trip, and I hated every minute of it. I never wanted to come back to Branson because I had such a bad time on that trip. And then a few years later, after your mom and I got married, a few years after that, I guess you were probably, I don't know, 6 or 7. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
The trip that we took with her whole family. I came kicking and screaming. I didn't want to come back to Branson.
I think that was like really early for me. I was like 2 or 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Freddie wasn't even born yet.
Okay. But anyway, so we came here for that trip, and I had a wonderful time. So now I like coming here. But the one time I came here when I was in high school or junior high, we went to Silver Dollar City, and the power went out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I wonder what that was
We
like.
were at that was kind of the cool part. But yeah, we were at an amusement park without the power. Luckily, nobody was on a roller coaster when it happened, or like none of our group was. But anyway, okay, so we'll talk about some of the fun stuff that we've done this time. We come here every year.
So
We didn't get to come last year because you weren't doing competitive dance at that point.
Yeah.
Took a year off from that.
Yeah.
Other than that, we come every year.
So we got here Monday afternoon, and then we did something. I can't remember what we did that evening.
We went to dinner.
Yeah, we went to dinner and stuff. And then the next morning I did my solo.
We went to like a 50s cafe, and then we did that again tonight because we liked it so much.
Yeah, it was really good. And this time there was live music, which is cool.
That guy was good.
Yeah, that was pretty good. He's a good singer.
Yeah. Anyway.
So
again, just highlights. You don't have to go day to day. Just mention some of the stuff that we did.
Yeah. Well. So, like you said, we're here on a dance trip because I'm a dancer, and so we did So I did my solo
so
Tuesday morning.
It's nationals.
Yeah. And so, like, everyone's coming. And I did my solo, and then I got first overall, and I got this big honkin' trophy.
Isn't that amazing? He was not expecting that.
Tap solo. It was, I think, the best I've done it. So I think I really achieved that.
There should be a Superman symbol.
Yeah.
On the bottom of this trophy, but other than that, it's great.
Yeah, we should paint it on.
No, I don't think we're gonna do that.
No.
Jason's solo this year is to T. Lope's Sonic Mania music.
It is, which is hilarious.
Which is Studiopolis.
Yeah, it's just Studiopolis, which is really cool.
It's great.
It's the lights, camera, action. Yeah, and then we did, and then the next night we did some mini golf, and
I posted pictures of that on the channel.
Yeah, we went to Raptor mini golf, like dinosaur themed mini golf, and there was a huge volcano that was like shooting fire at the top. It was really cool.
Somebody made fun of me for how short I am, and I just gotta say, I mean, that was a pretty tall raptor.
Yeah.
But you're right, I am pretty short.
I shouldn't laugh at you. That's not fair.
We went to. Oh, you know what we did the first night? We went and played pinball.
Oh.
We went to the arcade.
Yeah.
That was the first night.
Yeah.
We did a lot of stuff real fast. The second day was a shopping day. We went to a lot of flea markets.
Yes, we went to a lot of flea markets, and we went to the video game store that I really like in Springfield that has a bunch
I think it's actually Nixa.
Oh, wow.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's a neighboring town. Yeah. Anyway. And we got some stuff there. We'll show you in a little bit.
Yeah. And then like I said, we did mini golf. And then I'm trying to think if I forgot anything, but today we went to a really cool show. We went to a Michael Jackson show, which was like
I guess
a guy...
Wednesday was board games. So
yeah,
we mentioned this at the
did
beginning, but we went to the board game cafe. We played board games all day.
Yeah, that was fun. But there was this like Michael Jackson like impersonator. I don't know how to describe it. It's weird.
Yeah, because
it was really cool.
That, but it's better than
it's
that.
better than that. It's like what if Michael Jackson was still alive and this guy's like really good.
Yeah, he was shockingly close, and
yeah,
what's crazy about this
and
guy?
He was like a really cool dancer and stuff. Like he was really
cool.
Is
that he could do everything.
Yeah,
and so they did, and I thought this was really classy and just smart of them. They did the lineup of the Dangerous tour, and I wasn't aware of this, but Michael Jackson never performed the Dangerous tour in the States, so this guy goes, well, if we're doing this, let's do that tour because people didn't get to see it live here.
Mm-hmm.
And it also has most of the big standards that you'd want to see.
Yeah.
So it's got The Way You Make Me Feel and your Thriller and your Beat It and your Bad, and the closing song is Man in the Mirror, which is the great song to end on.
Yeah.
This guy.
But then it also has those, those songs from Dangerous. Like your Jam and your Black and White and you know, that's
Earth Song.
Earth Song, yeah.
Oh man, I only have 5% battery, and I don't have a place to plug this in here. So, guys, we may have to kind of relocate here. Give me a second. Okay, let me get this plugged in real quick.
Yeah.
Apologies, guys. You're gonna have to follow me over here. Yeah,
We're upside down.
We're upside down now. Okay, let me flip it the other way. There we go. Okay. So we'll just be on the floor here. Let me grab a light. We were prepared for this. Where did I put that? No, it's over here. So Jason was really skeptical of going to that show. I told him, I was like, Michael Jackson's the reason Jason got into dance in the first place.
Yeah.
I don't know how much that light is actually even helping.
Mm.
Move it down a little bit. Okay, so this is the best angle we've ever had. Should we try to prop this up on something? Maybe grab one of the chairs?
Yeah.
Apologies, guys. Shockingly, no one has left over this. Hang on. Couldn't bring it over. This is great. This is what you came to see. More of the hotel room.
Oh no.
Okay. Well,
that's worse.
That's worse, yeah. It was better the way we had it, wasn't it?
There we go.
Better? There we go. Okay. Teamwork. I'm proud of what we've just accomplished. Anyway,
I didn't do anything.
So Jason was really skeptical of it in the first place. I was like, no, we should go to this. Like, Michael Jackson's the reason Jason got into dance, and this is a dance trip.
Yeah.
Having seen it, I think your whole company should go to it.
Yeah. It was really good.
And what I was really impressed with is that the guy sang everything.
Yeah.
Because I thought it would be a lip sync. I thought it would just be a dance show.
Yeah, he sang everything. He danced. There was a backup. There was like a band. There were backup singers and dancers.
Yeah, it was all live music.
Yeah.
So it was like a pop/rock show on top of everything.
Yeah.
And the group was good.
Yeah.
But what was nuts is he also talked like him.
Yeah, and like he laughed like him. Like he made like a mistake, and then he like I made a mistake, and like he like laughed like Michael Jackson laughed.
And it's hard to describe it.
What?
It didn't feel like he was putting a character on.
No, it didn't.
It felt like that guy was so obsessed with Michael Jackson growing up that he like became him, and that's his own mannerisms now.
Yeah.
Because we talked to him after the show. We got in line. Somehow we got first in line. That was cool.
Yeah.
To get a signature from him. And you want to go grab that again?
Yeah.
And we got to talk to him for a couple of minutes, and he sort of breaks character while we're talking to him. And one thing I like about this guy too is he doesn't refer to himself as Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Like he talks about Michael Jackson like he's a different person.
Yeah.
So there's nothing pretentious about it. But he also acts like Michael Jackson the whole time. And while he's talking to us, he breaks character, but he still sounds like that.
Yeah.
It's just how the man talks.
Yeah.
And so he sees Jason's Gambit shirt and he goes, and I get the sense that he just like goes to Michael Jackson tidbits with people in line.
Yeah.
He goes, do you know who Michael Jackson's favorite X-Man was? And Jason and I just look at each other and I'm like, I don't know, he liked X-Men.
Yeah.
And he says it was Morph because he could be anybody he wanted at any time, and that sounds very Michael Jackson to me.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Like, he liked the idea of being a chameleon because Michael Jackson couldn't go anywhere in public without being, swamped by everyone, and he couldn't have, his own personal life very easily.
Yeah.
So, I bet that's true. Like, I believe that. I wonder where he got that.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about Sonic 3 a little bit, and he was excited to find out that Jason was a dancer and that he got his first place trophy, and he told us to send him a copy of the dance. But anyway, he was neat, and we were really glad we went to that.
Yeah.
That's one of the best shows I've seen in a long time.
It was really good. Yeah.
But anyway, you want to go ahead and pull down some of the...
Yeah. Let's pull out some of the stuff.
We had it all at the ready, but then we had to move our operation.
Okay. Let's just go from left to right. I don't know. Or let's start with this stuff.
Oh, wait a minute. There is an outlet under there.
Oh, I see it now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
but
want-
does it stretch?
I don't know if
that
it'll
far?
stretch that far.
Yeah.
Do you want to try it, or just stay where we're at?
No, let's just stay at where we're at.
Okay. Might as well.
Let's just start with this stuff. Here you go.
Okay, cool. So I bought some Star Trek stuff. We'll go through this real quick. We don't have to spend a lot of time on this. But I bought... Jason found this in a booth at a flea market yesterday, and I would have looked right over it. I didn't even see this. But this is a lunchbox with some of the first season paintings. I can't remember the name of this guy. There's this guy that did these great pop art, sci-fi posters, like classic sci-fi posters, for every episode of TOS and every episode of TNG.
Yeah. Which is
And
really cool.
I'm not obviously the biggest fan of first season, but I love these posters. And so I got a kind of half off the original price on that, which was cool. And then I'm always adding books to my Star Trek library, so I got some New Frontier that I didn't have, including the first book. I didn't realize I didn't have that. And so I just started reading this finally yesterday, and I'm going to try to get through this. It's fantastic.
That's good.
What I've read of it
Did
so
you-
far.
Have you read any of the other stuff?
It's been a long time. I have read a couple of them in the past, but I never read the first one. That's Peter David's original Star Trek series that started in '97, and fans loved that so much they wanted it to be adapted into a TV show.
Oh, really?
What's really cool is the first 30 pages, there's no reference whatsoever to anything in Star Trek. It could be any other sci-fi thing.
Wow.
And then, I mean, I don't know how I feel about this yet, because I'm just getting into it. But, like, Picard comes to him in a vision and tells him what Starfleet is.
That's funny.
Like, while he's delirious and about to die on this planet. I mean, the main character, Calhoun. Okay, so then I got some comics. There's a place here called Comic Force that I go to every time I'm here. And as a lot of you guys know, I don't regularly buy singles anymore. But when I go into comic shops, I'll typically pick up 4 or 5 or 6 just based on covers. So I read digital when I do read new. And I don't feel the need to own every issue of anything anymore, so I just buy. Sometimes I get number ones for series that I like a lot, and then I'll buy just covers I really like. So I got some Mighty Morphin covers that I didn't have. I've been collecting these zombie covers because I think they're really cool. And of course, Power Rangers had to go off and do the zombie thing. But what's kind of nice is it's not exactly zombie, but these covers are just straight up zombie, and they're fun. And then I bought the first couple issues of Batman '89 Echoes, which I haven't started reading yet. I didn't love the first series, and so I haven't started getting into this yet. But I wanted these covers because I think this first issue just has a really good cover. That's very Batman Returns.
Yeah.
And then it's got their version of Harley Quinn up in the sky in the background. And then I wanted this one just because of the '89 Harley Quinn on the cover. And that's the concept art. That's some of the initial art that they released when this book was announced. And then their Batgirl has a very odd look.
I really like
The
what that looks like.
I bought the first issue of the new Gotham by Gaslight spinoff, or sequel, however you want to look at it, of the Kryptonian Age. I mean, it's a really odd choice. They're doing a whole Krypton thing with this. They're doing a big, like, the Kryptonite artifact thing with it. I flipped through it, but I haven't actually read it yet. And then I got the first issue of Kneel Before Zod. Because if you're going to do a Zod book, that's the only choice for your title. And I got caught up on this week. I found this, and I read the first issue, and I loved it. And I read the other 5 in digital. And I didn't like the rest of it as much as the first issue, but it hasn't totally fallen off for me yet. I'm going to keep reading it. I just think it reads a little derivative. It's a Joe Casey thing. And I haven't read him in a long time, so I can't remember what Joe Casey stuff I've read before. But I don't know. I like his voice for Zod and these characters a lot. I like how timeless the thing looks. It does not look like a thing that came out this year. Like, it looks like a mid-'80s DC comic. And then, at a flea market, I got a Power Rangers paper doll set, all still in the book, not popped out yet. And I haven't decided if I'm going to actually pop these out or if I'm just going to make copies of this. But I want to use it for backgrounds for Heroes of the Grid figures. Actually, grab the couple of figures that I've got up there real quick. Jason and I did some painting yesterday. As a lot of you guys know, one of my hobbies now over the last few years has been miniature painting for the Power Rangers board game. And I'm really behind. I've got a bunch of figures that I haven't painted. It's probably not exaggerating to say I've got 80 to 100 I've still got to paint. But here is, if you include foot soldiers, here is Darkonda. And I don't know if this is going to focus very well or not, but I painted him the other day.
Good evening, Adam March.
And then Jason painted SPD Blue.
I did.
And he did a great job.
Oh, I think it.
And almost no help from me. That was all you.
Yeah.
I think we were going to do a second coat on some of that white and stuff, but
yeah.
More or less done.
Yeah.
And I got some touch up to do on this guy too. But anyway, we had a really productive week. That was our morning yesterday morning. And then what else do you want to show off real quick? I got some Batman pops. I got the DC Bombshells Batman, which I actually might have already. I couldn't remember. So I sent my wife a message and asked her to have Freddie go downstairs and look, and he claimed he couldn't find it, but he might have just missed it. I'm not sure. I might have a duplicate of this. Maybe I'll do a giveaway or something. And then at Hot Topic, I bought a couple of new ones that came out that I know I don't have. Here is Joker War Joker, which is funny. I haven't actually read that event, but I have read some of the Joker series follow-up to that. God, we bought a lot on this trip, Jason.
We did.
And then here is Cassandra Cain Batgirl, which I just adore. Look at her pose.
It's the best.
Look at this dynamic jumping pose. It's spectacular.
That's my new favorite pop.
I think it might be mine too. It's so good. Look at that. Let's just leave her here so that people can admire that for a couple of minutes while we're showing you guys some other things.
I've been replaced by Cassandra Cain.
Also at that comic shop, Comic Force I told you guys about, that's actually right next to the arcade that we like to go to that has a lot of pinball machines.
Yeah.
And that has my two favorite pinball machines of all time, Stargate and Star Trek The Next Generation, and they're both working this trip. And so we played a bunch of both of those. Last time I was here, one or both of those was broken down.
Oh.
Look, they made an adult coloring book for Powerpuff Girls. I'm so excited about that. So I got this for Mikey to color, but I'm gonna help him with it. We'll probably both work on that. Isn't that exciting? It looks great too.
Yeah, the inside looks really cool.
Apparently my kids have been working on puzzles all week with their mom, because of course they have. Because Sarah's obsessed with puzzles, and she decided to have like a no video game week this week, so they've been doing puzzles. And so she said that they've been doing really well with like 300 to 500 piece puzzles, so she told me to keep my eyes out for those. So I got these on sale, so I went ahead and bought these. Here is a cool lenticular Ninja Turtles puzzle and a 500 piece, that one's 300 pieces, and then a 500 piece Back to the Future puzzle. Those are cool. I'm gonna do a big stream soon. Big as in it'll be long, not necessarily big as in anyone will care. But I did a thing. So I've been wanting a Ninja Turtles original Technodrome forever, and they finally did a pre-order for the reissues. So they've been doing reissues for figures and vehicles and stuff for the old 87 Playmates line. And they finally put one out for the Technodrome, and I went, okay, I'm finally going to pull the trigger on some of that. So I put in my pre-order for the Technodrome, and I went ahead and got the van, so the party wagon and the blimp, and then I found a pretty good deal on the figures they've made so far. and I'm gonna do a stream unboxing and putting all of that stuff together sometime soon. I think I'm gonna try to do that on stream, and that'll be fun.
Real quick,
Yeah.
MC Comics says, Cap. Speaking of pops,
Yes.
did you see the new sweep of '89 releases?
I did. They look great. There's some really cool ones.
Yeah.
And I will obviously have to get all of the ones that are actually Batman.
I hope they do an '89 Batgirl.
Yeah, it'd be crazy if they did new ones based on the comics.
Yeah.
But remind me what one of them was Batman with like the blood on his face from the end.
And then they've got
scene.
A Batmobile one. And
yeah, they're finally doing an '89 Batmobile ride.
Yeah.
Pop. That's exciting.
And then a couple others I can't remember,
but. One of them is the wings unfurled.
Yeah, and then there's another weird colored one.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure what was going on with that. Yeah. So the reason I brought up the '87 Turtle stuff is I also got the video game inspired Foot Clan box from AXN, and these are a little bit bigger than the Playmates Turtles, but I thought these would look really cool in my Technodrome. So I went ahead and got this because this was also on sale at Walmart this week. So I went ahead and grabbed that, and then Jason got some video games.
We got some video game stuff. So I got. Let's start with my stuff. So I got Super Donkey Kong, which is the Japanese version of Donkey Kong Country.
Because there's a flea market booth we always go to when we're here with a guy that gets mostly imported stuff. And so he's always got cheaper Famicom and Super Famicom games. And Jason usually buys a couple.
Yeah. And that's pretty cool. And I got Turok 2 Seeds of Evil, which I like the first game. When I played it for like 15-20 minutes at the video game museum, and I really liked it. So I got the second one because I couldn't get my hands on the first one.
Is it just expensive,
no,
or have you just not found it?
I just couldn't find it, and I didn't want to buy it online.
That's fair.
So I just got the first one, or I just got the second one, and then I'll play the first one if I need to. And I got 2 Super Famicom controllers because they look different. They're not purple colored, and I really like what they look like. So I got 2 of them.
Yeah, and they're not discolored like a lot of the ones that were in that booth.
Yeah.
And then, wait, what's the other game that you got?
And then I also got
you got
Mega Man 11
on Switch.
for Switch.
Yeah, which is not sitting out because we took that with us for something today. So I got, because they were doing like a buy 2 get 1 sale there, so I got a game so that Jason could get a free game. So Jason found me this. This is a complete Pack Attack on Genesis, which is one of my favorite puzzle games, and it's in like near perfect condition. It was shrink wrapped, and I'm not sure if it was like the original shrink wrap or if they just wrapped it, but it's in really good shape. So yeah, nobody else will care about that, but that was cool for me. And then I also bought this Nintendo Power issue from, this was like '08 when the Night sequel on Wii came out, and it's a really pretty cover. So I thought I would try to frame that and put it on a wall somewhere.
Yeah.
Because I collect Knights. Even on myself.
What?
Yeah. Speaking of, Jason and I want to finally start getting into my long-threatened collection videos. And so I've been wanting to do streams where I go through all my collections of things and just show you
my
guys
collections.
all the crazy stuff I've got. And it would be a big multi-part thing that we would do over a long time. Might take a couple of years to do. And we may make that Ninja Turtles video I'm talking about the first one. Or we might just do one on my tattoos. I was thinking about doing my tattoo collection as the first one.
Yeah.
It'd be a shorter stream. I'll find some way to make it an hour. And then can you grab that other stuff that's up top there just real briefly? Those bags.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I also found this Power Rangers bag and thought that would be great for some of our board game stuff. I might use this to transport Zordon Dice Tower when we go to the board game store or the board game cafe in Kansas City. And I was wondering what this was initially. I was like, why did somebody make this bag? It's for the Power Rangers Build-A-Bears, it turns out. And I have one of those too. I have the Green Ranger one. And then we found this crazy curtain that we're going to try to put in the game room somewhere. Look at this curtain. It's got controllers on it. Jason, can you point out some of these controllers?
Yeah, so we got... Oh, and yeah, I didn't even realize some of these.
We should have just made this our backdrop. Like, if we had been smart, we would have found a way to hang this behind us, and it could have just been our backdrop.
Yeah. Okay, so we have... PS1 up here, and we have PS4, and we have Super Famicom down there, and we have the Virtual Boy controller.
Yeah, somebody put the Virtual Boy controller.
And then there's the Switch, and then there's the Dreamcast controller, and an NES controller, and a Famicom controller, and a Genesis controller. I should start calling it Mega Drive, you know. And then a Wiimote, and then...
What is that?
That's an Xbox controller.
Oh, is it? Okay.
And then the only one that I cannot remember for the life of me what it is this one. And it's the one with the weird trackpad. I think that's what it's supposed to be. From the mid-90s. But I can't remember what it was because I never
Are you sure that's not a more modern one? And there's a Switch up here.
Yeah, I pointed that out. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I missed that you said that. Jason and I also got these T-shirts yesterday at a Hot Topic.
Yeah.
When I bought those Batman Pops. I can't believe... I mean, I know 90s nostalgia is really in right now, but I still got very excited to find a Cool Spot shirt. Yeah. They made that for me. I'm the only person that's going to care about this.
And I got a Gambit shirt. I'm not the only person who care about this, but I do care about this, so...
You'll have to wear that when we review X-Men 97, which, by the way, we're going to try to do a spoiler cast for the first season of X-Men 97 next weekend, if we can.
Yeah.
Because we were supposed to do it before we left town, and we just couldn't get to it with his schedule.
Yeah.
But John's going to be there with us for that, and we're looking forward to finally talking about that, about the full season. We did do a stream watching the first 3 episodes. Was it 3 or 4?
3.
And I've rewatched the first half in preparation for
this. I've rewatched the first 4. I haven't even rewatched Remember Me yet, but Remember It, but
Remember Me is a TNG episode.
That's my favorite TNG episode.
With a static warp bubble.
Yeah, that's my favorite TNG episode. Did you know that?
I knew you liked it a lot.
That's my favorite.
Well, Jason, we're almost at 2 hours. Why don't you check and see if anybody has any questions or interesting comments before we bid everybody farewell tonight. I hope you've enjoyed this kind of silly all over the place show tonight. We talked about Power Rangers for the first hour. We showed you random crap we bought the second hour. We've had a really fun trip. A lot of free time this trip.
Someone watched a rewind yesterday.
Oh, thanks. Which one? Just a rewind?
Yeah, Batman Returns, maybe?
Was it an old scripted one, or was it a rewind commentary, which is what I've been making lately?
Hi, Hayden Spring. He's been putting together a bookshelf, so he just got here.
Oh, okay.
AMC Comics says he thinks that's the Steam Deck controller. Is that?
See, I thought that was more recent than what you were saying.
Okay.
Because it looks like a variant on either an Xbox controller or like a Switch Pro controller or something like that. Like, it's too modern to be what you're talking about.
Well,
what I'm saying is you're wrong. And I have to point it out when you're wrong because you're so rarely wrong. Jason knows everything. It drives me crazy.
Does anyone have any other questions? Oh, it looks like that is what that is. Kind of. It kind of looks like that.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, we can go ahead and wrap up shop here if nobody's bringing up anything else they want to talk about tonight.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. We will be back again next week, more or less with a normal schedule. We'll do a request on Wednesday. I forget what the next thing is. Oh, it's the first episode of a more recent TV show, but I can't remember the name of it because I've never seen it. But it's the thing people were excited about. I just can't remember what it's called. And we'll have a Captain Logan show on Thursday. I don't know what the Friday show will be yet. I got to talk to Austin and see what we're coming back with. And we should be doing a vault this week on some early Doctor Strange, which Austin's been wanting to talk about.
Yeah.
So anyway, I hope you guys can make it next week for a video or more, a stream. And we just appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with us. And we've been doing this forever. Thanks for keeping up with the channel. And in the meantime, I'm getting tired. I'm gonna go work out and go to bed. Thanks for watching, everybody. I was Captain Logan. This is Jason.
Yes, this is me, and this is me.
And we're gonna bid everybody farewell right now. Bye, folks. Oh, there it is. Goodbye.